I want to tell you something that happened to me at the grocery store a few weeks ago. I picked up a bag of chips I've been buying for years. Same brand, same shelf, same price I remembered. And something felt off the moment I grabbed it. It was lighter. Not by a little. It was noticeably lighter. I turned it over and looked at the weight printed on the back. And I stood there in the aisle like an idiot because I couldn't believe it. They had taken out almost 2 ounces and didn't say a word about it. Nobody announced it. There was no label that said, "Hey, we changed this." The bag looks identical. The price is actually a little higher than it was a year ago. But you're getting less inside. That's what we're talking about today. 15 foods where you are now paying more and getting less. And most people have no idea it's happening. If you're new here, hit subscribe right now. We do this kind of research every week so you don't have to. And stay with me through number 8, because what they did to that product is honestly something I still can't believe. Let's get into it. Item number 1, potato chips. Let's start with the one that first caught my attention, because it's the most common and the most brazen. Potato chips have been shrinking for years, but in the last 18 months, it's accelerated in a way that's hard to ignore. The standard family size bag that used to hold 14 or 15 ounces is now often 11.5. You're paying the same price, sometimes more, for a bag that's 20% lighter. The companies doing this are not small players. We're talking about the biggest chip brands in America, the ones in every gas station and grocery store from coast to coast. Industry data on packaged snack goods shows this has been happening consistently since 2022 and hasn't reversed. The brands keep the bag the same physical size, same crinkle, same design, but they add more air and fewer chips. It's engineered to feel the same in your hand. I started weighing my grocery bags at home after that day in the aisle. I know that sounds extreme, but once you start doing it, you realize how often you've been quietly ripped off. The weight on the label doesn't lie, but you have to look at it every single time and compare it to what you remember. The practical move here is simple. Stop buying chips at full price at grocery stores. Costco still sells larger format bags with better per ounce value. Store brands, especially Walmart's Great Value line, have not shrunk at the same rate as the name brands. You get more chip per dollar and the quality is honestly fine. You're spending money to fill a bowl. Make sure the bowl actually gets filled. Item number 2, orange juice. This one hits different because orange juice feels like a staple. It feels like something that doesn't change. But the standard orange juice container, that jug you've seen in the refrigerator section your whole life, quietly dropped from 64 ounces to 52 ounces a couple years back. And now, some brands have gone even further. You'll find 46-ounce containers on the shelf being sold in the space where 64-ounce used to sit. That's not a small adjustment. That's a 28% reduction in product volume. And the price went up, not down. The juice industry has been dealing with orange crop issues in Florida for several years, which is real and documented. But what they've done in response is pass the full cost to you without proportionally adjusting the price point. They kept the jug looking similar and hoped you wouldn't do the math. I was buying the same brand for probably 4 years without noticing. My wife pointed it out. She makes orange juice smoothies and she started running out faster than she used to. We went back and compared old receipts to new labels, and the difference was right there. If you drink a lot of OJ, consider switching to frozen concentrate. It sounds old-fashioned, but the math is dramatically better. You control how much water you add, and you get far more juice per dollar. Alternatively, the store brands at Aldi and Trader Joe's have maintained larger sizes at lower prices than the national brands. Your breakfast table deserves a fair deal. Right now, you're not getting one. Item number 3, canned tuna. Canned tuna used to be one of the best budget protein sources in America, and it still is, but it's gotten significantly less generous over the last few years. The standard can of tuna shrank from 6 ounces to 5 ounces several years ago. Most people noticed that one. What fewer people noticed is the second wave, the drained weight. The actual amount of fish after you pour off the water or oil has gone down even further. You can now buy a 5-ounce can where the drained solid content is barely 3 ounces. That's a big deal when you're using tuna for protein. You think you're getting a certain amount of fish, you're building your meal around it, and the can is quietly delivering less actual food than it appears to. I looked at this because my dad eats tuna almost every day. He told me his sandwiches were starting to feel thin and he thought he was just buying the wrong kind. But it wasn't the kind, it was the amount. He called me genuinely annoyed. The best move here is to look at the drained weight, not the can size. Some brands print it clearly, others hide it. Costco sells tuna in larger pouches and multi-packs that are significantly better value. The pouch format also tends to have better drained weight ratios than canned. Protein is not something you want to quietly lose without knowing it. Item number 4. Ice cream. This is the one most people have heard about at this point. But I'm including it because the degree to which it's happened is still shocking when you actually lay out the numbers. The standard ice cream container was a half-gallon, 64 ounces, for most of American history. Then it dropped to 56 ounces, then 48. Then some brands went to 1.5 quarts, which is 48 ounces. Today, you can walk into a grocery store and find 40-ounce containers displayed in the exact same freezer space where half-gallon tubs used to sit. And the prices have gone up, not down, at nearly every step. The ice cream industry is dealing with real cost pressures: dairy, sugar, fuel. And that's documented. But the response has been to shrink the product repeatedly while keeping the price signal familiar. You reach for what looks like a value purchase and you're actually paying a premium per ounce for less dessert. I did the math one night because I was curious. A 40-ounce container at a mainstream grocery store is now often more expensive per ounce than what a half-gallon cost 5 years ago, even adjusting for general inflation. The shrinkage has outpaced everything else. Breyers and Dryers have both reduced their container sizes multiple times. Store brands are your friend here. Walmart's Great Value ice cream has maintained reasonable sizing. Costco's Kirkland brand and their branded ice cream options remain among the best volume values in the freezer aisle. Summer is coming. Make sure your cookout isn't quietly getting smaller without you realizing it. Item number 5. Breakfast. Cereal is one of those categories where the illusion of size is baked into the packaging. Literally. The boxes are tall, the graphics are huge, the mascots are cheerful, and the cereal inside has been disappearing. Over the last 3 years, most major cereal brands have reduced their net weight by somewhere between 10 and 20%. A box of a popular cornflake brand that used to hold 18 ounces might now hold 15.3. A granola brand that used to weigh 16 ounces might now be 13.5. The boxes sometimes get physically smaller. More often, they don't. They just add a deeper cardboard indentation at the bottom, which is a packaging trick as old as the industry itself. I was doing my weekly shopping at a large chain grocery store, and I picked up 2 boxes of the same cereal from different parts of the store. One was on sale, one wasn't. They looked identical, different weights. I went home and wrote it down because I couldn't believe the inconsistency. If you're buying cereal for a family and going through multiple boxes a week, the dollar difference adds up fast. Oats are the answer. Store-brand rolled oats give you more volume, more fiber, and dramatically more food per dollar than any branded cereal. If your family won't eat oats, try buying cereal in the large format bags available at places like Aldi. You get more for less, and the bags are honest about their weight. The colourful box is not your friend. The weight on the label is. Item number 6. Toilet paper. I know this isn't food, but I'm including it because it might be the single most aggressive shrinkflation story in any American household, and it directly competes with your food budget. Toilet paper rolls have gotten shorter, narrower, and the mega and double designations have become almost meaningless. A mega roll from a major brand today contains fewer sheets than a regular roll did a decade ago. The sheets themselves have gotten thinner and smaller in physical dimensions. Companies like Procter & Gamble have published data showing that their rolls deliver more sheets per roll. But what they don't tell you is that each sheet is now smaller, so the total tissue area has gone down, not up. I went through this with my own household. We were going through toilet paper faster than we used to, and I couldn't figure out why. Then I read about the sheet size changes, and it clicked immediately. Costco's Kirkland toilet paper remains one of the best values in this category, and has not shrunk at the rate of the national brands. Sam's Club also competes well here. If you have access to either, this is a warehouse club purchase that makes genuine financial sense. Don't let the advertising language confuse you. Mega doesn't mean what it used to mean. Item number 7. Peanut butter. Peanut butter jars have been quietly getting lighter for a few years, but what's happening now goes beyond just the weight. The standard large jar that used to be 40 ounces has migrated down to 36.5 ounces in many brands. That's the obvious part. The less obvious part is what's happened to the composition. Some major brands have adjusted their recipes to include more oil and less actual peanut content per jar while maintaining the same visual appearance and texture. Peanuts are an agricultural commodity with price swings, and the brands respond to those price swings by reformulating quietly. It's legal. It's disclosed in tiny ingredient print that nobody reads. But it means you're buying a product that is increasingly less dense with the protein and fat you're actually paying for. I heard about this from someone who works in food manufacturing, not at a peanut butter company specifically, but in packaged goods generally. They told me reformulation during cost pressure periods is extremely common and almost never communicated to consumers. The product looks the same, tastes similar, and you'd never know unless someone told you. Natural peanut butter, the kind with peanuts and salt only, is your best bet here. The brands that do it simply can't hide behind ingredient reformulation. What you see on the label is literally what's in the jar. Trader Joe's and Costco both offer solid natural options at reasonable prices. You're buying peanut butter. Make sure it's mostly peanuts. Item number 8. This one is going to bother you. I promised you number 8 would be something you'd find hard to believe. Here it is. Fast food value meals. I want you to think about what a value meal used to be. You'd walk into McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's, and for somewhere around $5 or $6, you'd get a sandwich, a medium fry, and a drink. It was a full meal. It was filling. It was the point. Today, that same value meal in most American markets is pricing between $9 and $13. That's not a small increase. That's more than double in some cases over the last 6 to 7 years. And what have you gotten in return? The sandwiches are smaller. The patties on the basic burgers at the major chains have not gotten larger. Several have quietly gotten thinner. The fries portions in medium sizes have been reduced at multiple chains. The drinks are often now defaulting to smaller sizes without asking. You are paying more than twice as much for less food than you used to get. And yet the lines at the drive-thru are still there every morning and every lunch hour because fast food has baked itself into American habit so deeply that people do the math last. I want to be clear. I'm not saying never eat fast food. I'm saying know what you're paying for. A fast food value meal is no longer a value by almost any measure. You can make a sandwich at home, a genuinely good one, for under $2, and it will weigh more and have more calories than what you'd get at the drive-thru window. If you're feeding a family on fast food regularly, you are spending significantly more than you would preparing similar meals at home. The convenience is real, but the value is gone. Know that before you pull into the drive-thru. Item number 9. Yogurt. Yogurt containers have been on a long, slow shrink that most people never fully tracked because it happened incrementally over many years. The 6-ounce individual yogurt cup went to 5.3 ounces. Then some brands went to 5 ounces. Then to 4.5. Greek yogurt containers that used to be a full pound are now commonly 15 ounces, 1 ounce short of a pound, in what appears to be a deliberate choice to stay just under a natural unit of measurement. The large format containers have also reduced. A 32-ounce tub is now commonly 24 ounces at the same price point or higher. What's frustrating about yogurt is that it's often purchased as a health food, as a protein source. When the container quietly gets lighter, your protein intake from that meal quietly drops too. You're building your diet around an assumption that's no longer accurate. I checked 3 different grocery stores over a 2-week period, comparing the same brands. The container sizes were not consistent even within the same chain. They had older inventory and newer inventory with different weights on the shelf at the same time. It's confusing by design. Buy larger tubs and compare ounces before you buy. The math usually works better on the bigger containers, but verify, because even those have been reduced. And again, store brands perform well here. Aldi's yogurt line is genuinely solid and has not experienced the same degree of shrinkage as the national brands. Item number 10. Bread is interesting because you can't easily weigh it by feel. You just see a loaf, and the loaves look the same. Same plastic sleeve, same twist tie, same general shape. But the number of slices per loaf has dropped across multiple major brands. A loaf that used to have 22 slices now often has 18 or 20. The slices themselves are often thinner than they were. And in some premium bread categories, the loaf weight has dropped by 2 to 3 ounces while the price has gone up. The bread aisle is one of the most competitive in any grocery store, which is why the changes have been subtle. No brand wants to look like they're cutting corners too aggressively. But collectively, the entire category has drifted in the direction of less. I use bread every week. Sandwiches, toast, the works. I started buying the store brand at my local grocery chain a few months ago, and I was genuinely surprised. It sliced well, lasted about the same amount of time, and was noticeably heavier than the name brand sitting next to it on the shelf. And it cost less. Count your slices when you get home. It sounds silly, but once you do it a few times, you'll have a much clearer sense of what you're actually getting. And if your household is burning through a loaf faster than you used to, that's not your imagination. The loaves got smaller. Item number 11. Coffee ground coffee packaging has been one of the most dramatic shrinkflation stories of the last decade. The standard can of ground coffee was a full pound, 16 ounces, for generations. Then it became 12 ounces. Then some brands went to 10.3 ounces. Today, you can find name brand ground coffee in containers that hold 9.8 or 10 ounces, priced similarly to what a full pound cost several years ago. That's a 38% reduction in product. And coffee prices have stayed high, even as some commodity costs fluctuated. The coffee industry had genuine disruptions, supply chain issues, weather events affecting crops, and those are real. But the price increases and size reductions have not reversed when conditions improved. The new sizing has become the new normal, and the industry has no incentive to go back. I buy coffee every week. I started grinding whole beans from a warehouse club instead of buying pre-ground from the grocery store. The cost difference per cup is significant, and the freshness is actually better. A 5-pound bag of whole bean coffee from Costco breaks down to a cost per cup that beats almost anything you can find in the grocery coffee aisle. If you're still buying the small cans at the grocery store, you are paying a premium price for less product on a per cup basis. Run the math once, and you'll change your habit permanently. Item number 12. Crackers. Crackers feel like a minor category, but they reveal something important about how this whole system works. Because crackers have been shrinking in 2 directions at once. The net weight of the box has gone down, and the count, the number of crackers inside, has often gone down even further, because the crackers themselves have been made slightly larger to fill more visual space while delivering fewer individual pieces. A box of premium crackers that used to run 16 ounces is commonly 13.3 ounces now. A snack cracker that used to have 38 crackers per serving size now might define a serving as fewer crackers at the same calorie count, which sounds fine until you realize you're getting through the box faster. These are psychological adjustments layered on top of physical adjustments. The companies are managing perception alongside portion. It's sophisticated, I noticed this when I was putting together a cheese board for a family gathering and I ran out of crackers way before I expected to. Same brand I always buy. I went back out for more and I looked at the box carefully before I bought it. 13.5 ounces. I could have sworn it used to be bigger. Buy crackers in bulk when you can. Club stores are better here. Or substitute with something that doesn't play these games, like rice cakes or flatbreads that still come in consistent, reasonable sizing. Item number 13, laundry detergent. Another non-food item that belongs on this list because it competes directly with your household budget and has been shrinking aggressively. Liquid laundry detergent containers have been downsized under the cover of concentration claims. Now 2 times concentrated or ultra formula often sounds like an improvement, and sometimes it genuinely is. But the number of loads advertised on the bottle has not kept pace with the price increases, and some concentrated reformulations have simply removed water without increasing cleaning effectiveness proportionally. The container sizes are confusing by design. It's very difficult to compare across brands because each uses different load counts, different concentration levels, and different container shapes. A large jug that looks like it contains more than a competitor's smaller jug might actually contain fewer loads. I spent about 30 minutes in the laundry aisle at 3 different stores trying to compare cost per load. It's the only metric that matters, and the results were genuinely surprising. Some of the most aggressively marketed value detergents had some of the worst cost per load numbers. Tide and Arm & Hammer both have product lines that vary significantly in cost per load depending on which version you buy. The plain, less marketed versions of both brands often deliver better cost per load than their premium counterparts. Buy based on cost per load and nothing else. Item number 14. Frozen meals. Frozen meals have been declining in quality and quantity simultaneously, and the two things are happening together in a way that makes the value proposition particularly bad. The entree weight in a standard frozen meal has dropped significantly. A chicken dinner that used to clock in at 11 or 12 ounces might now be 8.5. But the calorie count hasn't always dropped proportionally, because the meal composition has changed. Less meat, more starch, more sauce, same price point or higher. For people who use frozen meals as a convenient protein source or as a controlled calorie option, this is a real problem. You're not just getting less food, you're often getting a different ratio of macronutrients than you think you are, quietly tilted toward cheaper ingredients. I ate a frozen meal I'd had dozens of times and it felt thin. Not just small, thin. Like the flavors were more diluted than I remembered. I checked the packaging and the net weight was 2 ounces less than what I had written down for the same product from a year ago. That confirmed it. If you rely on frozen meals for weekday lunches, start batch cooking instead. Make a large pot of a grain, a protein, and a vegetable on Sunday and portion it out for the week. It takes about an hour, and the cost per meal is genuinely 2 to 3 times cheaper than a frozen entree that's getting smaller every year. The convenience of frozen meals is real. The value is not. Item number 15, snack cakes and baked treats. I want to end with this one because it's the most emotionally resonant, and I think it will hit home for a lot of people. Snack cakes, the individually packaged treats that have been part of American lunchboxes and snack time for generations, have been shrinking in ways that feel almost personal. The individual cakes themselves are smaller. The cream filling in cream-filled products has been visibly reduced over the past several years. Multi-pack boxes that used to contain 12 units now commonly contain 8 or 10. The net weight is down substantially across almost every brand in this category, and the price per box has gone up. You are paying more for a smaller box with fewer and smaller cakes. For some people, this is a comfort food purchase. It's tied to memory and habit, and the brands know that. They know you'll keep buying because it's not just a snack, it's a ritual. So they reduce it incrementally and count on the emotional loyalty to absorb the change. I'm not telling you to stop buying these. I'm telling you to see them clearly. When you pick up a box of snack cakes and it feels lighter than you expect, that's because it is lighter. The nostalgia is being monetized. And you should know that. Store brand versions of these products, and there are many, have generally held up better in size and weight than the national brands. They're also significantly cheaper. If you're buying these for your kids' lunches, the store brand delivers more food per dollar, while the national brand coasts on recognition. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Every single item we talked about today is doing the same thing. They are reducing the amount of product while maintaining or increasing the price. Sometimes it's driven by real cost pressure. Sometimes it's pure margin improvement. Often it's both. But the technique is always the same. Change the product slowly enough that people don't notice in the moment. Keep the packaging familiar. Never announce what you've done. Let habit and brand loyalty carry you through. The way you fight back is simple. Pay attention to weight, not price. Compare per ounce or per unit costs, not total price. Shop store brands more often. Use warehouse clubs where the economics are still more honest. And cook from scratch where you can, because a bag of flour, a bag of rice, a block of cheese, a cut of meat, those things scale with you. Nobody is putting less rice in your rice bag. The companies doing this are counting on you not noticing. And most people won't. They'll keep buying the same things out of habit and wonder vaguely why their grocery bill feels so heavy. You are not going to be one of those people. You watched this video. You know what's happening. And now you can shop smarter every single week. Not because you have more money, but because you're spending the money you have on what you actually think you're getting. That's the whole game. And now you know how it's played. If this was useful, hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we do this research every week and there is a lot more coming. And leave me a comment. Which of these 15 surprised you the most? I read every single one. Next week we're going into something that I think is going to make a lot of people very uncomfortable. We're talking about the stores themselves, the ways major grocery chains have changed their layouts, their pricing displays, and their loyalty programs in ways specifically designed to cost you more money. You're going to want to see that one. Take care of yourselves and your families. I'll see you next week.